What's up, y'all? Today we're in Canton, Georgia, so I can show you the 7 things that you need to know about before moving here. Right away, one thing you should definitely know about Canton is that it's very much like an up-and-coming kind of suburb. This is not like one of these super popular suburbs that is got a lot of people where you're going to be having a lot of traffic. It's not really that kind of suburb. It's kind of a hidden secret still, and there are kind of people quietly moving here little by little as they're finding like beautiful homes out here in Canton and excellent schools and lots of shopping and restaurants, especially here in the downtown area. It's one of the areas where you can find a lot of those things. Mom and pop shops, bookstores, mom and pop restaurants, where there are real people cooking real food. It's not like the cold concrete jungle like you would find in Atlanta. So definitely an up-and-coming kind of suburb, and I foresee it getting much more popular as every year there's just more and more people moving here. But definitely something that you want to realize is that this is still a small, quaint town, but it's growing very quickly. And then another thing you should know about if you plan on moving here is that it's about 20 minutes away from Milton, and it's about 30 minutes away from Marietta and 30 minutes away from Alpharetta. So it's still really close to a lot of these bigger cities, these kinds of cities that have plenty of big economy and jobs and lots of things to do. But it is pretty far from Atlanta. Like if you were living here in Canton and you had to work in Atlanta, that'd be a super tough commute. I'd say at least an hour 15, maybe an hour and 30 minutes, depending on what the traffic was like. But there are still plenty of big cities around here, so it's not like you're super far out in the country. In fact, a lot of people who are thinking about moving to Canton are also considering Milton because they're so close to each other and they're so similar in the way that they feel. A lot of the homes, especially the new construction, are very similar, Canton and Milton, a lot of similarities. However, Canton is much more affordable. And then I'd say the third thing you definitely need to know about before moving here is like what to do, what there is to do here in Canton. One of the more popular things to do here is the Mill on Etowah. It's like one of those live, work, and play kind of areas that have lots of shopping, lots of restaurants. The downtown area here has a lot of those kinds of shops and restaurants, but they're smaller. They're more also a bit older. Across the street there is Elon North, which is one of my favorite. But at the Mill, you have newer shops, newer restaurants. They also have one of those like big green lawn areas that's super popular in a lot of the downtown areas. Last time I was there at the Mill, they had one of the football games being played on a giant big screen in front of the green lawn, and so everybody was hanging out there. Definitely a good way to build community and build relationships with your neighbors. It's certainly has that kind of small, quaint feel here in Canton. The reason why the Mill is called the Mill on Etowah is because there is one of the main rivers that runs right through Canton is called the Etowah River, and it runs right along the Mill there. As you can imagine, the Mill was like some kind of historic mill from 100 years ago where they made something. This is all super common here in Georgia. Lots of places have these kinds of historic landmarks. So the Mill was one of those historic landmarks that they turned into more of a commercial area. So this is actually a really good example of what I'm talking about. This is like the place where people go to get insurance here. It's not, a giant skyscraper building. Like this little shop is where you can get insurance here in Canton. Now, of course, you can still get insurance in other places, online or whatever, but this is the kind of old-timey feel, the quaint charm that I'm talking about that you find here in Canton. This insurance shop is prime example. Okay, and then the fourth thing that I think you should know about before moving here is that the price range for homes here in Canton is very wide. It's not like one of the other suburbs where most of the homes tend to fall in a similar category. Here in Canton, homes range from as low as $250,000 to as high as $2 million. One of the reasons for this is because it is kind of an older city that is far from Atlanta, they still have plenty of homes that are super affordable in that low 300s, high 200s. This is very common in a lot of the smaller towns in Georgia. However, because so many people are starting to move here, you see that there's a lot of new construction, and these new construction homes that are 5-bedroom, 5-bath homes, 3,700, 3,800 square feet. Those are the homes where you're seeing much higher prices, 800,000, 900,000. Depending on what part of Canton it's in, it may even be up to $1 million. So that's definitely something that you need to think about. Like, while the average home price here in Canton is 525,000 in the last 90 days, there's actually a very wide range of homes. You can still get affordable homes here in Canton, but you can also find the luxury, massive homes, on a giant acreage here in Canton, still very easy to find here. So that's something that you definitely need to realize, that while the average home value here in Canton in the last 2 or 3 months has been about 525,000, there are still some super affordable homes here in the high 200s, the low 300s. It still has a lot of those older homes with a lot of charm that are much more affordable. Okay, so we've kind of reached like the middle of the downtown area here. Sometimes people ask about like these trees and why the trees are all like without leaves and the grass is all brown. It's just that I'm filming in the wintertime, so in the spring all of this will turn green and it'll look a lot more picturesque, a lot better for video, but because we're filming in the wintertime, it's why it all kind of looks so brown. But across the street there is the Cherokee County City Hall, and then right in the middle you can see they've got like this little park area with the gazebo. It's super cute. Let's see here, and then that other building there across the street, I believe is a church, or it might be a government building, not exactly sure. And then I know over to the left over here in the very middle of downtown area is where the fire department is. So it's all kind of compact here in this small space. Definitely lots of things going on here in downtown Canton. All right, so the fifth thing that you should know about before moving here is that this is actually very far from Atlanta. Like I said, if you are living here in Canton and you're driving to Atlanta for work, that would be a very difficult commute. Now, keep in mind that most people who live around here, including myself, don't really like to go to Atlanta. There's not really much in Atlanta that we would go there for. Maybe the occasional football game or Atlanta Braves game or whatever it is. Like, maybe we would do that every once in a while, but for the most part, it's not like you would need to go to Atlanta for anything. You can typically find everything that you might need right around here in Canton or one of the bigger cities around here. Things like grocery stores or a post office, certainly public schools, things to run daily errands. It's all around here. People don't typically go to Atlanta if you live in one of the suburbs like this. Dude, how awesome is this? This is the Canton Theater. Like, this is the kind of thing that you only find in one of these small Georgia suburbs. Like, you don't really find this kind of super genuine, charming kind of theater in any part of Atlanta. They tend to be much bigger. Let's go inside here and see. I'm not sure if they're gonna let us in. It's closed. But anyway, this is the kind of thing that you find here in Canton. It's very, I don't know, wholesome, I guess. It's not like there's a ton of people here and you have to stand in line for the theater. It's really like a local theater. That's something that you don't really find in too many places anymore. And then number 6 on the list of things that you need to know before you move here to Canton is that there are definitely a lot of new construction homes available here. The same cannot certainly more affordable, new construction homes. That's the kind of thing that you really can't find in suburbs that are much closer to Atlanta. All right, so we've made it to like the northernmost part of downtown Canton, and across the street here is a law firm, Luke's Law Firm. There's also a Precision Custom Home Builders across the street there. Let's see what else we have here. A jewelry store across the street. And again, all of these are very locally owned mom and pop small businesses, which is something that a lot of people prioritize. They want to work with these kinds of local businesses, and there's certainly no shortage of those here in Canton. Across the street, however, over there is actually a Synovus bank. So there still are some big businesses around here, but it's certainly more common to find local businesses, smaller businesses around here. Which actually brings me to the last thing that you need to know about before moving here, is that while there is a lot of local businesses, there is also a lot of new development, new construction areas. Big businesses are starting to move here more and more as these businesses see that people are moving to Canton and it's becoming more popular. There are bigger businesses moving here. So while it is a small, quaint town for now, it certainly will increase in home prices and cost of living, and all of those things are not only increasing throughout Metro Atlanta, but you can certainly expect to see that here in Canton. In fact, I've made an entire video that's all about the current cost of living in Canton and what monthly expenses tend to look like here. If you want to see more about that, then you can check out the video at the top of the screen. I'll see you in the next video.